We know cell phones are a big part of everyday life, but in northern Colorado, the devices are useless at times because the service is so bad.
And after decades of frustrations voiced by the community, Dylan Thomas set out to find out why the service was so bad. And in doing so, he learned the poor service comes at a cost to residents' wallets and safety.
What we've seen over the last several years is a continuing degradation.
It's the fourth largest city in the state. Yet if you've ever tried to use cell service in Fort Collins, you probably know.
Coverage in Fort Collins is really substandard by a lot of measures these days, and that needs to change.
Sure, it's annoying and inconvenient for most, but when it comes to public safety, the signal is
frustrating to the point of being dangerous.
Outgoing Sheriff Justin Smith, Larimer County's highest-ranking law enforcement official, warns Fort Collins' cell capacity is now at risk of threatening lives.
The network has become to the point of being dangerous and unreliable right here at our office, which is in the middle of the city of Fort Collins. Our police computers actually use the cell phone network. So the laptops over the years have become the lifeline for first responders.
Laptops in patrol cars not only help monitor a deputy's location,
all units en route,
but also help transmit critical information to and from dispatch for active emergencies.
So it could be an officer safety issue.
The Sheriff's Office and Fort Collins Police say the lack of cell signal can not only threaten officer safety, but it can also threaten yours. And there is genuine fear that there could be an emergency in the heart of the city. Someone would call 911 and their call may be dropped or may not even go through in the first place.
And if the citizen can't reach our 911 call center in an emergency, that's a grave danger, a grave risk.
But it's a problem that we are aware of.
Fort Collins City Planner Will Lindsay admits the city is aware of the issue and that it's a problem they unintentionally created.
And a lot of that has to do with our zoning requirements. But there are certain places in the city where we don't currently allow a freestanding tower, and that has really impacted service.
Years ago, when cell towers first started popping up, the city says they were just outright ugly. So residents pressured the city to create codes that preserve the aesthetics of the charming town.
In a lot of ways, it was kind of an overcorrection to those to put us where we are currently, and now we're turning the dials. That we went so far in the other direction.
And now we have to kind of step back and think about this again.
For years, the city has limited the height, appearance, and locations of towers, which is why there are only about 30 freestanding towers.
And when you're a community like ours where a lot of tall buildings don't exist, then that's even more constraining.
The city's few tall buildings are peppered with transmitters. But to get service to these dead zones highlighted in a 2018 study, the city has no other option but to rethink its code and make broader exceptions.
And if there's something like a church or something like that and they want to propose a tower, then we will consider that. How do we do this in a way that we don't lose what makes Fort Collins unique? And so, yeah, we are stuck between a rock and a hard place.
But I think in this community, at least, the aesthetics part is always going to win out, and we're always going to really push hard on that.
Re-envisioning the code and fixing the problem is estimated to take up to 5 years.
Passing through mountain right now.
Time Fort Collins Police says it doesn't have.
Their ability to do their jobs effectively would be at risk. It's paramount, and we live in a digital world, and all of their tools rely on these critical services.
Which is why the police department is investing hundreds of thousands of dollars into upgrading its laptops with technology that can switch between or combine signal from different providers to assure better connection.
That way, if one carrier doesn't have effective coverage, it bounces over to the other one.
But doing so is costly.
It's about $4,000 per vehicle.
And with 207 vehicles, taxpayers are now footing the more than $500,000 bill for a problem caused by their own code.
This is a necessary device that is needed.
But for the Larimer County Sheriff's Office,
those are very expensive. We're easily in the hundreds of thousands of dollars to make that shift.
Incoming Sheriff John Fan will have to decide if the office will wait out the upgrades to the system
Adam 17.
or find a way to pay for a fix now.
In order to do that, are you going to lay off personnel? Where's that money coming from? This needs to be solved, and us trying to patch it is not truly solving the issue, it's putting a patch on it.
In Fort Collins, Dylan Thomas, covering Colorado First.